Estoy ya cansado de estar endeudado, de verte sufriendo cada centavo. Dejémoslo todo y vámonos para Miami. Voy a lo que voy, a volverme famoso, a la vida de artista, vivir de canciones, tener ilusiones
que rompen 10,000 corazones.
Yo solo quiero pegar en la radio para ganar mi primer millón, para comprarte una casa grande en donde quepa tu corazón. Yo solo quiero que la gente cante por todos lados esta canción, desde San Juan hasta Barranquilla, desde Sevilla hasta Nueva York. Emilio, yo tengo un amigo de un amigo, con línea directa al cielo de tantas estrellas.
Hello. This is your first time in the chat. Underscore 024XX underscore welcome to Rosende Reads. Annie Hansen, you took the words right out of my mouth. How is everyone feeling? Oh my goodness. Melin Giabiconi? Sorry if I said your name wrong. I'm in Chicago Fire. If you're looking Chicago PD, I think I come in one episode and it's a crossover, but mostly Fire. So I don't know if you meant to say Fire, but if you didn't and you're watching PD, I don't show up. Okay, good. Sorry, I just saw your thing. All good. I was worried for you. I was like, and Anna Cat Fernandez, I'm sorry, I'm late. Time is very difficult to ascertain at this point. Forgot today was Sunday. I just knew I had Rosende Reads today. So, how am I? I'm doing pretty well, managing to live life this way. Tessa and I have been having a great time. We are... Okay, who's watched The Hunters? Day 18 for you, Rita. Wow, today is day 14 for me and Tessa. Isn't it a surprise that we're late? Thank you, Thina. I appreciate that, but also sorry. Happened to me too, my dude. It's okay. I get you. Time has no meaning. You're right, the Kender. Who constantly forgets what day it is? Me! No idea. I just know that it's daytime and nighttime. Time to eat and time to sleep. Did you decide to stop shaving during the quarantine? I did. Well, also, pretty much when I'm not working, I don't shave. It's just because most time for work, I have to shave every day. And I decided to give my face, like my skin, the break of shaving every day. Although I will say my beard, patchy, but thicker than before. So maybe by the time I grow up, I'll have a full one. Who knows? Did I finish Little Women? We are here to discuss all of Little Women. We are here to finish that book, to be happy with its journey, to recognize the March Sisters now as grown women onwards into the world, and we could say goodbye to this book as we say goodbye to them. Day 15 for me. Still have work though. Good. Think I have to go and watch a film with the family in a moment, so I might not be able to stay for long. All right, well, Amy Lumsden, thank you. Enjoy the movie. I hope it's a good one. Okay, first of all, I miss Pouch. Oh, you'll see. You have a lot to see. I thought yesterday was Wednesday. I impulsively bought a Nintendo Switch Lite just to play the new Animal Crossing game. That's how bad it's getting for me. Yo, Rita, you play Nintendo Switch? I play Nintendo Switch. You play Mario Kart? Day 4? No. Okay. Sorry, I almost played like...
Yo solo quiero pegar en la radio. Yo solo quiero...
Okay. Team Beard, don't worry. All right. Tessa's Team Beard, too. She really likes it. Yes, just started watching Hunters. Okay. So Tessa and I watched Hunters. We finished it, and it's incredible. What else have we done? Has anyone else watched Tiger King yet? Because if anyone wants a crazy journey of a show, watch Tiger King. I swear every episode, I'm like, what the hell is this show about? Is it about a guy that owns 100 tigers? Is it about his feud with this animal rights activist who's kind of crazy? Is it about the fact that she murdered her husband? I don't know. Show's crazy. Beard's great. Oh, everyone likes the beard, Tessa. Did y'all like the second part better than the first part? That's a good question. Also, I don't know if you did this research, but I guess that's why I'm here for you guys. And we'll have this discussion. She wrote the first part separately from the second. And a lot of people believe that she took in literary criticism from people that read them, her readers, comments and stuff, and kind of changed the tone of the second book. And I think we can kind of see that in the way that the story's written, but also what happens to the March Girls. And in a way, it feels like a natural progression from their like young selves discovering who they want to be in the little bits of like their personalities. And then if you go into what becomes of them and them becoming women, and you see them kind of overcome a lot of their things, which we will talk about when we get into it. But yes, N64 is best. Just finished the book. I cried so hard. So, Annie Hansen coming in with Spanish. If my brother's choosing it, it probably won't be a good one. Thanks, though. Hopefully I can hang on for 10 minutes. All right. So, for Amy Lumsden's sake, we are going to just begin discussing now. So, Animal Crossing Tea. I'm scrolling down. Tiger King is crazy. Thank you, guys. We will have a conversation about that after. Let me get out of this and this. Odyssey. I've already finished Odyssey. Come on, guys. Maddie McCall, it is great, Rita, if you're looking for fun games on Switch. Also, Cuphead's very difficult, but good to play if you're going to play with someone. And Tessa's woo was the cutest. And I remember we had this discussion, like, do we get the book that has both books or one book? So I'm glad we got the book that has both books, because it wouldn't have been complete otherwise. Second part was better, and then it got really long and dragged out excessively. Frankly, you know what? I'll tell you my opinions of this novel after. The book was a struggle. I read like 200 pages in 2 days. It took me that long. Rita, I completely agree with you. I have to admit to you guys that this second part, I kind of skimmed. I just combed through it. I had to finish. I just went, good enough. Now let's supplement, like we should do with our books, is let's go at summaries and analysis of like literary critics and see what people say. So I feel like it was like, oh, cool. Okay. But I'm glad we're done with this book, but I'm glad we read it as well. I hope that some of you really enjoyed it, and I hope that one of the goals Louisa May Alcott had with the novel is that people would attach themselves to one of the March sisters, and then use that March sisters journey to hopefully grow themselves. The idea of like teaching and that growth that comes from teaching and learning is like kind of, I think, a theme I noticed in like my research of the book. I saw major differences, and it makes sense why I love the second part better. But I'm glad they joined both books so we can get the whole story at once. I agree. I can see why back then they might have split it up as well for publishing purposes and whatnot. So yeah, but I think it's a cool thing. It's, the second part starts like 3 years later. So in a way, it's kind of cool that she had the time to like write that part, Called it when I said Lori had a thing for Joe. All right, Jordana, let's talk about this. Let's talk about Joe and Lori real quick. I thought they were going to end up together. I thought it was very clear that Joe had a thing for Lori. And then I thought Lori had this thing for Joe, and I thought it was going to be fine. But then I guess as they got older, it became apparent they were too similar, and that they were just friends. You have to read Todd Slavkin's book. I actually already bought it. It's already here. It's on the list of things to read whilst this thing happens. Hello. Excuse me, I have a really cute barista offering to make me coffee. Yes. Actually, can I have...
Regular?
Yeah, I'll do the regular, I guess. Thank you. You've been watching The Circle on Netflix? I've heard about that. Daniel Kyrie watches The Circle, I think. I hope I'm not calling him out if he doesn't, but pretty sure he does. I was also shocked by Beth's death. But upon the research, it makes sense. Tessa hasn't finished it yet.
Oh, well, I shouldn't be here, Julie, while you're discussing.
Uh-oh. How interesting everyone thinks that, like, I think we talked about this last time, that Jo kind of resembles Alcott in her disregard for, societal, obligations of women. Like, she's like, I don't want to have to do that. I want to be able to be my own person. And Alcott felt the same way. And then when Jo gets her hair cut, or when Jo donates her hair, that's a whole symbolic thing that she's cutting her hair to be more masculine, to suit the ideal that she's then at that time helping with, which is like she was helping with the family with the money she got from her stories. So she was kind of taking on that masculine persona. And then you also see kind of Jo rediscover, Jo's arc is pretty cool if you think about it. Like, she goes from that person that never really considers marriage, has her own stories and wants to write and pursue this ideal that's considered more masculine. And then at the end of the novel, she eventually, I feel bad saying all this because Tessa's right here.
It's okay.
At the end of the novel, she falls in love and gets married, which is something I don't think she ever thought she would do if we asked Jo from the first part. But Jo in the second part finds this ideal. And actually, I read this thing. You know, guys, I like looking at SparkNotes for certain things. So I read this thing on SparkNotes about the umbrellas and how the first time, I forgot who gets proposed to, Jo breaks the umbrella, but then when she gets proposed to by the I forgot his name, Bear, by him, she takes refuge under his umbrella, kind of accepting the fact that they're gonna be a thing, but he doesn't kneel down because it's all muddy and stuff. So Alcott breaks the idea that she has to look beautiful and stuff because she's muddy and rainy. She breaks the idea that he has to stand on one knee, lowering himself to her. Instead, they stand on equal planes. So there's a lot of symbolism there. But I think it's cool. Perfect book. Your nose is runny. You all right? Yes, my nose gets runny in the morning. Trust me, I've been monitoring my symptoms. I am fine. Today's my 14th day of quarantine. So after this, I hopefully do not have it. And we'll be good. It's a perfect book. Second part was much better. Sorry, I'm catching up on comments now. I talked a lot. Just want to read the next book. Olivia, we will. It's right here. We will. For shame, Alberto. Skimming. Jordana, how dare you? I still did my research. Beth deserved better. Okay. Oh, this is what I meant. I went on this whole rant about Jo. Beth's character apparently is supposed to symbolize what were expected of women at that time. You know, she neither wants nor desires anything. She's completely content. She has a temperament that's calm and she accepts her roles willingly, is extremely friendly and kind. But her death kind of recognizes the death of what Alcott feels that type of woman is kind of dying in society, in the sense that women are not, and this book talks about it too, they're not cool with just housework. They all keep themselves busy, aside from getting their basic chores done, because they are full people and need to have full realized lives. And I think the type of person that Beth represents, Alcott, with her death, was saying that character will no longer live in the future, and that's why she's not really in the second part, which I thought was pretty cool. I promise the movie was not like this. I 100% recommend the movie. That's basically the reason why I had such high expectations. I don't know if I'm going to watch the movie, frankly.
What? Why not? We're going to watch the movie. I'm going to watch it.
I'm going to watch it with you. The second part was a roller coaster of emotions between happiness and sadness, but very, very beautiful. I agree. It was interesting because, that part of your life people talk about as being, the next part when you're becoming an adult and getting married and all these things, but also it's sad because you're saying goodbye to other parts of your life. And I think that's what this novel really did well in that second part, was they were Meg, now married, having her kids, is dealing with like being a wife and mother and all the other sisters. Did you crush this?
Yes, I did. Damn.
Tough to get through. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought so. I was not expecting Caitlin. Yes. Okay, good. You know, I think for me, hold on a second. Thank you so much. How much are you?
It's on the house.
On the house. Wow. Hey, what are you doing after this? We should hang. Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Right?
And like not too sweet, like a perfect. Okay. Want to taste it?
Yeah.
Okay. I said this to Rita the other day, and I want to repeat it now. Compared to Catch-22, Little Women is a piece of cake. 3 out of 5 stars, Maddie McCall. I'm going to give it 2.5, only because I feel like, as my perspective, it was hard to really get into this book. I know you guys have heard and felt my apprehension, but 3 out of 5 is still a solid book. Were you expecting Amy and Laurie? I remember you thought Joe was the one into Laurie last time we talked. I was not expecting Amy and Laurie, but I can't think of what worked better. Like, that makes total sense to me. Like, total sense. I was like, yes, that, good for them. And then I love what they're going to do with their lives. Like, I was very happy for them. The development of every character. Yes, I read the book for the first time in high school and found that I enjoyed it just as much as reading it in my late 20s. Well, what the heck, Polar? Good. Claire, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Because, you know, my goal isn't to just pick books that I enjoy. My goal is to pick books that everyone enjoys. And good. Yeah, good. Laurie and Joe broke my heart. I did too. Well, not really. I was kind of like, okay, this makes sense. But I agree with you. I was shocked that they weren't the OTP, so to say. Which is weird. You loved the book as a child and now as an adult. Well, I think this book would lend itself more to a younger version of me. More faced with the ideas and questions that they're asking. The girls, when they're questioning what they're going to be doing with their lives, who they want to be, all these things. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense that in high school I might have enjoyed this book a little more. Although in high school I didn't read as much. I didn't read things that I didn't like as much. So I feel like I might have not. But now I look on this and I'm like, okay. There was no in for me, I feel. Test of the Master Chef. I knew that Laurie didn't end up with Joe due to an episode of Friends I watched years ago. What? I kind of wish I could rewatch Friends now to see if we get those references. But one of the reasons you have to read good books, sorry, Rosende reads just, here's what, is because they're constantly referenced in pop culture. And I love being a part of those references, those inside jokes, rather than being outside of them. Right, Tessa?
So you read to feel cool.
Yes. I had to really think about getting the regular. I did. Oh my gosh, am I really far behind in the comments? Okay, I just scrolled all the way down. I'm sorry. I was really far behind when I thought I was like catching up. Just caught up. I think they're perfect for each other, even if the relationship with Joe was more fresh to me. I relate to Joe, changing her mind about marriage. It happened to me. Okay. I honestly adore Florence Pugh as Amy. Movie thoughts? Sorry. I haven't seen it yet, but okay. The book was just kind of slow for impatient people. It may not be the one. Okay. I would agree with that. I would consider myself moderately patient. T, am I a patient? What a 10? Patient, non-patient?
Oh, in what way?
Just general patience.
Pretty patient?
I'm pretty patient. What about reading? I think I'm pretty patient.
You mean to get through a book?
Yeah.
I don't know, guys.
So I guess I'm impatient when it comes to reading good books sometimes.
But like, you don't mind if it's slow.
I don't mind if it's slow. I think it's just the material. If it's slow, it has to, like, I think if we put it on a scale, the slower a book will be, the more interested I need to be in the material. And the faster paced the book is over here now, the less interested I really necessarily need to be in the material, as long as everything's driving it. But when it was a slow story and I couldn't hop on the bus, I'm going to miss the ride.
Like, I think if you read a book about, like, watches and there was literally no plot, you'd still read it.
Oh, that's a lot of the books that I have.
I meant, like, a fictional...
I want to write we'll talk about that later. Beth, Death, and Good Wives. Yes. Rosende reads the best book club ever. We know. I got the spoiler of Beth dying on Twitter. Oh, no. I think Amy and Lori fit better. I think Joe was right when she said that stuff to Lori. And I think he wasn't able to separate the feelings he had for her, like as his sister. Well, I think she was just the first person that saw him. Literally, she went and found him in that house by himself and was like, yo, have a life, be friends with us. Like, a lot of his socialization with, like, the people of that town and with the March sisters and the life that they subsequently, like, gave to him was, like, a beautiful thing. And Joe was like, the crux of that. Joe was the one that brought him to that world, so I could see why he had an affection for her that he might have felt deeper than the other sisters, and then he might have confused that for some sort of affection, like, you know, loving affection, like deeper than that of a sibling. Or not deeper, different than that of a sibling. But I find with Amy, the way that they both kind of grew, it made sense. Season 3, episode 13 of Friends, so remember. All right, for everyone asking really quickly, we'll do this now because we're still talking about, we have a lot to talk about for Little Women, but the next book is A Brief History in Time by Stephen Hawking. I'm telling you guys, this one's going to be hard too. But anyway, I must admit I struggled with so much of this book. There were some chapters I really enjoyed, but there were others that seemed so unnecessary. I totally agree. It got a little wordy at points. I had to reread some paragraphs because I completely spaced. Well, let's also look at the time in which she was writing this book. She was writing this book in the 1870s. Like, the way in which people spoke English was completely different. And we look at other novels from the 19th century or early 20th century, we see a similar way in which they are written, right? It wasn't until, like, I wish I knew more about this. I'm sorry. I keep telling people I wish I was smarter. Like, I need to get smarter. But I remember, like, Hemingway being a clear, like, departure from this type of writing in a way where he's very direct. And this is very, you know, fluffy. Even when we read, think about the book we read in, like, when was Great Gatsby written? The 30s? Was it written? It was written in the mid-20s, right? So, like, even that book, completely different than this book in the 1870s. So, like, this is closer to, like, Dickens, I guess.
You should read them that fake letter.
Oh! Okay. Tessa reminded me I'm going to read you guys something at the end. Let me pull it up real quick, though. Okay. I don't know. I tend to read books that really interest me. And that is a wide-ranging list of subjects. So, like, Many Lives, Many Masters, a nonfiction book about a psychiatrist's relationship with this patient and what they both discovered together. Different book from The Tattooist of Auschwitz, fiction book based on a true story. Different from Shoe Dog. You know, different from the books. I'm talking about books that I've read really recently. I don't know. I feel like one of the reasons people don't like reading is because they're forced to read books that don't necessarily appeal to them in high school and then later on in their education, which is disappointing. because I think you have to discover a love for reading, and then you can start to really break out of your genre. But yeah, I feel like one of the best things that someone could do is be inspired to read anything. Just something that, I remember I picked one, like the first time you pick up a book and you're like, this is actually pretty interesting, and you finish it, you're like, I want to read more like this. And then that grows into, I want to read more. But I think it's a process. Tangled, Joe and Laurie edition. All right, Maddie McCall, that's a great question. Who is everyone's favorite March sister? I feel like a lot of us are going to say Joe. I really came to admire Amy. I appreciate her tchotchness, or her like appreciation for finer things, but then recognizing that through humility and like kindness and she can use that luxurious lifestyle to like do something. But also like Meg is pretty admirable in that she was the person that cared the most about nice things and then ended up marrying for love, which is pretty cool. Amy Munch writes, I think Amy opened a new door for Lori and he needed a fresh start. Cool. Beth or Joe for me too. Maddie, I'm conflicted. Joe or Amy? Beth, do you have an expanded version of Brief History of Time? No. Mine just has really big words. Well, they're not really that big, but it's around 216 pages, mine. I don't think there's an expanded version. I think it's just... Alberto, you should totally write a book. I would read it in a heartbeat. I would love to one day. Was anyone else sick of the words womanly, romantic, duty, improved, and work? Oh, guys, I'm not talking down on myself. I'm not saying I'm not smart. I'm saying I just need to be so much smarter, you know? This book somehow reminded me of Anne of Green Gables, though. Well, I can see why. When was Anne set, T? The late 1890s, like close to the 19th century, right? So around the same time period, it was about, well, I see Anne as like a mixture of the March sisters, you know, of the March sisters. Like, Anne has that excited temperament and doesn't want to confine to a gender role like Joe, but also like, there are things about the way she like speaks with Diana that remind me of Meg. So I could see that, totally. Rita, it's okay. I love how everyone's like, Rita had her tea today. It's interesting that thanks to this book club, we've read a lot of different genres. It's like living different lives and starting to learn everyday new things. Exactly. Most people in my school read Lord of the Flies in school and hated it, but when we read it, I loved it because I read it on my own time. I think that's a lot of it. School places an unnecessary... Well, I mean, it is necessary. You have a certain amount of time to learn a curriculum. It makes sense. It's just that pressure, especially at that time in your life, when you don't like being told what to do, I felt was very like...
You don't get to like sit, have a tea, like...
No, because you're doing a bunch of other... Yeah, I agree. You don't... And Tessa's like, you don't get to like sit and have a tea and enjoy... You have to like do a bunch of other stuff and then enjoy this book. And like, I think a lot of reading is also reflecting on what you've read. And I think in high school, you don't have time for that sometimes.
It's like eating a piece of cake really fast.
Tessa says like eating a piece of cake really fast, which I think is a great way to put it. In high school, you're just eating the cake because you have to eat it. Whereas here, we get to eat the cake because we want to take every bite. We want to taste it. I think Meg set a precedent for the other sisters. Yes, in today's world, Meg would be the perfect Pinterest mom. Yes. Y'all, there was a BuzzFeed quiz going on a few months ago, and it was like, which combination of March sisters are you? Shaking my head. Something like that. I will post it on Twitter later. Please do, Rita. I would love to see which combination of March sisters I am. Oh, a lot of people took that quiz too, T. I love to read. I've read several authors, both classic and contemporary, and with regard to adaptations to the series, I'm one who always finds a defect. Okay. Interesting. I took a quiz on BuzzFeed about the March Sisters. I got Joe. Well, the thing about Joe is I think while she's commenting on like a lot of like I think you could take Joe as someone commenting on the role she's supposed to play and then finding the place that she's going to eventually have for herself. I think that's everyone in life. There's a role that they assume or are told that they're supposed to fill. And then slowly growing up, you discover either ways to fill that role that suits you, or you discover that that role isn't really meant for you and you kind of discover your own world. So I think Joe is the most completely... Joe is the character that we most completely... Now everyone's like, can we have cake? Why do we talk about food in every life? Because we love food. There's nothing wrong with it. There's not much more you need than good friends, good food, good books. And good wine, yes. And probably really good coffee too. Let's be real. Isn't it interesting in every dystopian novel we've read, coffee is a luxury? Because coffee is awesome. Although I'm drinking matcha right now. Pretty great too. Thank you. People on the live are saying bless you.
Okay. We're reading this up again. We've already done this.
Clementine cake yesterday.
Did you sneeze?
I did.
Bless you.
Thank you. Coffee is my freaking life force. Lexi, I would agree. Bless you. Thank you. We still haven't started our movie. Awesome. And you've gotten like good 30 minutes in, so that's awesome. At least half. Good friends, good books, good food, wine, and coffee. New Rosende Reed's motto. Wait, Jordana, you gave up alcohol and desserts for Lent? What are you trying to do? Be a saint? You did not factor in the quarantine. You gotta calculate. Coffee with a little bit of Bailey's is the bomb. No, but I think it's good. We're still able to have these discussions about this book that I guess some of us didn't enjoy, some of us did, but there's a lot of, I think that's one thing that we can easily tell from this novel is how it stands the test of time. It's a coming of age story. The way that it was described online, like the type of book, hold on. Wait, no, it would be here. One second. Oh, they said a sentimental novel is how... Oh my gosh, someone just brought up picklebacks. Tessa and I love picklebacks. And if you guys are curious, picklebacks are when you take a shot of whiskey and then you should take a shot of pickle juice to kind of be like your chaser. Pretty delicious. Jack says hi. What's up, Jax? I honestly enjoyed it. My opinion, though, is because I felt that it's perfect for International Women's Month. Awesome, Clarissa. Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm glad we read it at the time we read it. Like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, thank you. Congratulations, guys. That's pretty cool. I mean, it is a sentimental novel. I agree with Anna Cat Fernandez, and I feel like I interpreted what you wrote the way I would have written it, and I hope that was correct. Reading this book while coming of age, I turn 18 next month, was kind of cool. Awesome! Can you tell me why? Or, not why, that's a big question. Let me make a more specific question. What part of it do you think allowed you to learn the most? Like, what do you think, was there ever a moment that you read that you were like, oh, and it was something that is like maybe like a tent pole or some sort of fixture that you could like align yourself with as you, like, you know, or something that you're just thinking about. I don't know. Please, I'm interested in your perspective. It was very correct. Thanks, Rosende, for still talking of booze. It's not my fault you gave up both booze and desserts for winter. For Lent, I mean. That's for winter. The long winter. Beer, please. You know, I can't drink beer anymore. I became allergic. Okay, reading this book for the first time at 20 years old makes me relate to the struggles of the March Sisters. Clarissa, very cool. Why? What do you relate to? This sounds horrible. Pickle juice? No. Trust me. It's amazing. Do you like pickles, though? If you don't like pickles, you're not going to like it. But if you like pickles, you're going to love it. Trust me. Do we have pickles here?
I don't know.
We're doing picklebacks later. Sunday. I read it when I was young, and now 10 years later, I feel completely different about reading it. Oh, can you tell us why? Once I have this baby, my first drink will be rum. Good. Not before, though. Hey, don't down picklebacks. They're so great. They are. Joe reminded me of To Kill a Mockingbird Scout a little. Anyone else? Yes. But the themes we're seeing in her, in Anne, and in Joe are people that have refused to kind of accept the life that's being told they should live. And because of that, they're seen kind of outside of society. And then at some point, they filter in a way, you know, in their own way, whether it's a complete... I think it's cool. Tequila shots are my enemy, but I won't stop doing them. Isn't that with everyone? I agree with you, Carrie. I thought it was interesting to read it at this age because I saw how every March sister came to understand who they were and who they wanted to become, which is a big deal for me right now. I get your point, and I totally don't agree. Oh, and I totally agree. Sorry, Rita. I also think the writer didn't really help with the stereotypes, though. Reading about Meg post-wedding was honestly bad. Yeah, but I realistic in a way. Like, she has new challenges now as a mother and wife, and like her kind of getting to discover how to deal with them. Interesting, but I could see her being very much like Marmee later on, discovering how to inspire this household of people to become better. Who they wanted to become, which is a big deal for me right now. And I think the coolest thing that I've discovered, because I think I'm always on that path too, trying to figure out who I want to become, is that it's never ending. You don't have to worry about like you making one decision and it being over. It's like, I mean, my dad, who's a general in the army, I was talking to him when I was graduating college, and him and I used to go on drives in high school, so we were driving and we were just talking about life, and I told him, I was like, Pop, I'm about to graduate college as an actor, so I'm kind of freaking out. Like, when am I going to figure out life? And he looks at me like, what? And I'm like, when am I going to figure it all out? Like, you're married, you have 2 kids who love you. I mean, I'm graduating university, Diego's doing well in university. Like, as far as I'm concerned, I would consider you a very successful role model as a parent of who I would like to become half of, you know? So when did you figure it out? And he looks at me and he goes, when I do, I'll let you know. But as far as I'm concerned, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. This is my father. So I don't know if that helps at all, but I think there's... I think I identify with Jordana for sure, with the whole I don't need a man attitude and love of all things reading and writing. I mean, yeah. I think Joe is the protagonist of this novel. Yes, and that's totally okay, but the fact that there was a lot, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. Like, no, she's not supposed to do anything just because she's... Yeah, I agree. I related a lot to the story back when I was 19, and now at 29, I understand it on a deeper level and being able to reflect on it. Very cool. So maybe we'll read it again? Then just keep learning. Don't limit yourself. You know, I don't know, you heard me today say, like, I need to be so much smarter because the person that I want to become is just so much smarter and has a complete grasp of other things. Like, I want to be that guy. But I'm not putting down the journey that I've taken to get to where I am now as a person. And I'm pretty happy with myself. But I know I have a lot to learn. Too much to learn. I don't know if I'm going to have enough time. But I think that's a good thing, you know? In order to know what you know, I feel like you have to question it. I know I think Proust says that. But, may we read again? Yes. Never stop learning. We'll never figure it out. Ideally, it's an awesome journey. Exactly. I added awesome, but yes. Rita, I saw you post up for quotes. We have about 20 minutes. So do you guys want to do quotes now? Let's do some quotes. Learning is a lifetime process. Yes, it's never too late to stop learning. Exactly. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. I feel like that's another thing. What's the point of winning the race if you don't remember running it? You know, if you're just like, I won. Well, no, you worked hard running. Don't try to make me grow up before my time. I didn't write quotes this time. Thank you, Olivia. You never finish to find out who you are. I love that. No, I'm gonna watch the movie, Rita. I'm gonna watch the movie. Just not right away. I might give it a healthy distance. I've read the book 3 times and it always leaves me with something new. The point of view changes a little with age. I think that's awesome. Like, I hope I'm not discouraging anyone that loves this book. Like, I really hope that that's not the case, because I know that there are some books that we've read that I've loved and other people have not. And that's the beauty of this world. That so many different points of view exist. And if we just take the time to learn, we'll get to see maybe a pretty good picture of it instead of just one, you know? I'm not afraid of storms, for I am learning how to sail my ship. What is it? Easy seas does not a good sailor make. Love Joe all your days, if you choose, but don't let it spoil you, for it's wicked to throw away so many good gifts because you can't have the one you want. Conceit spoils the finest gems. Oh, my girls, however long you may live, I never wish you a greater happiness than this. When you feel discontented, think over your blessings and be grateful. There's a song about that. It's highly virtuous to say we'll be good, but we can't do it all at once. And it takes a long pull, a strong pull, and a pull all together before some of us even get our feet set in the right way. Marmy to Meg, don't shut yourself up in a bandbox because you are a woman, but understand what is going on and educate yourself to take your part in the world's work, for it affects you and yours. That is the secret of our home happiness. He does not let business wean him from the little cares and duties that affect us all. And I try to not let domestic worries destroy interest. Earth hath no sorrow that heaven cannot heal. Love casts out fear, and gratitude can conquer pride. That was one of my favorite quotes. Joe felt the unspoken sympathy, and in silence learned the sweet solace which affection administers to sorrow. I rather miss my wild girl, but if I get a strong, helpful, tender-hearted woman in her place, I shall feel quite satisfied. Writing does not confer importance, it reflects it. Into each life some rain must fall, some days must be dark, sad, and dreary. Leave out explanations. Make it brief and dramatic. Let the characters tell the story. Let us be elegant or die. That's one of my favorite quotes. Tessa, did you hear that one? Let us be elegant or die. Let us be elegant or die.
Oh, that's amazing. Is that a quote?
Mm-hmm.
From the book?
Mm-hmm. Where did the comments go? I still see the comments. You can do better than this, Joe. Aim at the highest and never mind the money. Vive la liberté. I'm happy as I am and love my liberty too. And love my liberty too well to be in a hurry to give it up for any... Sorry. I'm happy as I am and love my liberty too well to be in a hurry to give it up for any mortal man. Lessons in patience were so sweetly taught her that she could not fail to learn them, clearly for all, the lovely spirit that can forgive and truly forget unkindness. Life and love are very precious when both are in full bloom. Be comforted, dear heart, there's always light behind the clouds. She had often said she wanted to do something splendid, no matter how hard. And now she had her wish. For what could be more beautiful than to devote her life to her mother and father, trying to make home. Tessa! She's doing her hair, so she can't hear me now. Maybe she'll come say hi. Okay, there's one quote that I do want to talk about. It's when Marmee says, I am angry nearly every day of my life. This I found in my research later on. It's from the first part. Marmee makes this statement in chapter 8 when she tells Joe that she too struggles with a quick temper. Throughout the novel, however, Marmee seems serene and composed, which suggests that the appearance of a docile woman may hide turmoil underneath. Marmee's admission makes Joe feel better because she realizes that she's not the only one with a temper. At the same time, though, Marmee's words suggest that there is no hope for Joe. Marmee is still angry after 40 years, and perhaps Joe will be too. Many feminist critics have noticed this sentence as an expression of anger about 19th century society's demand that women be domestic. Oh, I'm sorry, the internet's bad. Annie, you'll get through it. You'll be okay. Just keep staying safe. Let's just have that quick talk, everyone. Just keep staying safe. Keep listening to our respected scientists and health professionals. The professionals who devoted their lives to understanding and combating these very types of viruses, not flippant politicians. Stay safe. Stay inside. Wash your hands frequently. Minimize your exposure, and when necessary, take all of the precautions. We have good books. We can stay inside. Most of the time. But anywhere, you're in our prayers. How do people... Well, it's like this. Have you guys ever seen someone every day and they've been working out and you never notice? But then you haven't seen someone in 6 months and they've been working out and you notice right away? Sometimes seeing someone every day makes it harder to notice small differences. And you only notice when something presents itself as drastically different. But when you haven't seen someone in a long time, you take in everything. And how different they are from the last is often more noticeable when it's been a while. Yeah, unfortunately we have that privilege. I agree. Some people don't. You know what? Why don't you all start sending me stuff on Twitter on how you can support your local communities in whatever way. If it means donating money or food or FaceTiming people that are lonely, however you feel that you can help your community, whether it be saying, you know what, I know I have friends that suffer from moderate mental health issues and staying inside all day is very difficult for them. So I'm going to make sure I call one of them at least twice a week to check in and make sure that they feel that they still have community. Even something as little as that might help. And if you have any systems or places you want me to share on Twitter, just let me know. I'll look over them and do what I can. And hopefully when I do, you guys can do the same. Jordana, all good, totally understand and very much respect your reason to, whatever reason to not be on Twitter. Twitter is a crazy place full of a lot of information, some of which is misinformation, especially if you're listening to the current American president, of whom I have a lot of feelings. And I think this is okay. You know what? Are we done with Little Women? Let's get final thoughts really quickly. Let's wrap it up, and then we can take the last 10 minutes to have a conversation about this while simultaneously just running into this real quick. I'm donating books to my community team here. That's fantastic, Lexi. Thank you. That's awesome. My mom and I are trying to keep food for the stray dogs in our lane. That's really sweet. I've been teaching online live stream Zumba classes. Hell yeah, Annie. I like that. I think we're finished with Little Women. And I think one of the biggest lessons we can take from this is that the journey of discovering who you are is constant. No matter what afflictions you feel yourself with, Jo with her anger, Meg with her temptation for luxurious things, Amy with and Beth with even her like shyness and whatnot. As long as you are actively working towards it, then maybe you'll get to the end. And I'm not saying you're succeeding every time. This novel represents a lot of the times the girls failed in their attempt to control their tempers, and then we get to recognize the times that they succeeded, and we're so happy for them. So I think we should recognize that now. I think lockdown can really be messing with your mental health. I really found myself struggling with a lack of routine. Even going to work was a huge help for my routine. But as of now, I like this book, not my favorite, but I learned from it. Oh, that's awesome. Final thoughts. As a mom, Jo now represents for me the dreams I have for my daughter, to dream of more and reach for more. That's beautiful. Hope to participate in the next group read. Libros Encantada? I hope so too. Anyone can join, just message me. That's awesome. So if anyone wants to do a live stream Zumba class with Annie, just message her. That's awesome, Annie. Okay, I'll tell you guys this. I know for a lot of people, this idea of no routine is very difficult. For actors, this is actually very common. Most of our days are like this. If you're not working, you don't have a routine. You wake up when you want to wake up, you do what you want, and then it's just like, do I have the money to go do things, or do I stay at home? What is my routine then? And this is an interesting part, I think, of what I've recognized growing up. Like right now, I finished working, so I'm kind of on vacation. I don't have any routine. I try to work out every day, unsuccessfully sometimes. I try to read. I try to but right now I'm chilling. But if you recognize the importance, do that for yourself. Maybe you can even write a list of things you want to get done in the day. So at least if you check off the 2 things you have to do, even if it's I have to water the plants and I have to go for a walk. And if you do those 2 things, the rest of the day is yours. We have to set our own routines. I know that I saw this. I have to say, I love the memes going around right now. And one of the memes is in the 40s, our grandfathers and great-grandfathers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers were called upon to fight in a war to save the world. Now we are similarly being called upon to save the world. But instead of leaving our families and going to a very dangerous place where violence is around every corner, we are asked to stay at home and do nothing. Difficult, yes, and I recognize that the systemic oppression in my country specifically is making it very difficult for a lot of people, whether it be they have healthcare or income inequality or any of the other issues that my country is facing. But aside from that, and I know what I'm saying is from the perspective of privilege, but take this time. We never really get this time. Take it. Relax. Clarissa, tell your brother what's up. Stay positive. Try not to panic over the news. Take everything with a grain of salt. The more people panic, the more willing they are to give away control. Oh, I need protection. Then do it. Do anything. And that's not really what we need to do. We need to be smart. Not listen to the whims of a politician, but to the science and the healthcare professionals that have studied this, that analyze this. So let's pretend the American president lifts sanctions to go out. Don't go out. Just be smart. We have free will. My brother's asleep. Oh, okay, I read that. Thank you. This is going to sound bad, but I don't always talk about this to anyone. But like, I had a very hard time 2 years ago, and it took me a lot to get back on my feet. So that routine to me was very helpful. I know we talked about routines this last book. In some cases, they are important. Hey, Rita, it's all good. You're doing your best. And maybe by you telling us on this live that it's been difficult for you, other people might feel the same way without having the courage to say that. So I encourage all of us to continue talking. I mean, if you guys have each other's personal contact info, why not FaceTime for 20 minutes? Catch up. I've been doing it with a lot of my friends from college, with Diego. I mean, I never played Fortnite before a couple weeks ago, but now I play a lot because it's the way I'm having like my social circle with my friends. We all play Fortnite together. I know it's weird, but I really enjoy it. But it's one of those things. So I think what I've discovered is I'm not an introvert and I'm not an extrovert. I'm very balanced in that sense. Like, I like going out, but I like staying in, and I have no problem staying in. But I felt even a little bit of cabin fever. So, like I said when we had our talk on Wednesday, this time especially, I listened to yesterday to a psychologist talk about different techniques, routine meditation or yoga, limit news, find activity. Yeah, group hug, everyone, group hug. So yeah, we have a few minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up with this. I mentioned in the beginning of this on Wednesday that communities are really going to be what gets us through. We can't rely on the government. We can't rely on that. I mean, the government, what is it? It's this thing. It's like the party, right? But, from 1984. But we can rely on other people. I can rely on Tessa. Tessa can rely on me. We have friends that live close by that we've checked in with them. We gave them arepas, right? And they checked in with us. They brought us milk. I talked to my brother. I talked to my parents. I talked to my friends that this is that time when we just have to kind of put our ears up a little bit more about the people around us. This time has been hard, but what I hate is I know half of the world is uniting and staying at home while the other half is being selfish and leaving their homes. Yeah, I probably will post something. We were, as a member of Chicago Fire, we were asked by the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois to post a video about the importance of staying home and heeding the instructions and medical professionals. So, I might post that later this week so that it's kind of spaced out. Yeah, virtual group hug, everyone. Let's get in here. All right, we have 2 minutes left. Jeez. Okay. We got to do this quick. Everybody, we are now reading A Brief History in Time by Stephen Hawking. In Stephen Hawking's landmark #1 New York Times bestseller, now updated with a new introduction and 6 short essays on the current science, one of today's greatest scientific minds explores such profound questions as how did the universe begin and what made it start possible? Does time always flow forward? Is the universe unending, or are there boundaries? Are there other dimensions in space? What will happen when it all ends? Told in a language we can all understand, A Brief History in Time plunges into the exotic realms of black holes and quarks, of antimatter and arrows of time, of the Big Bang and a bigger God, where the possibilities are wondrous and unexpected. With exciting images and profound imagination, Stephen Hawking brings us closer to the ultimate secrets at the very heart of creation. Sounds pretty freaking cool. So, we're going to start with not too much because I fear that it might be heady. So, if this doesn't prove to be too much, then we'll read more the next week. But for this, we're going to read the first 5 chapters. Yes, it's about 70 pages. The first 5 chapters, all right? So chapter 6 is titled Black Holes. Read up to chapter 6, not past it. Read up to chapter 6. I'll say it one more time. Up to chapter 6. Tweet it. I'll retweet what's correct. Thank you guys for being here. And again, remember, especially at this time, keep creating, keep learning, keep questioning things, keep checking in, keep loving, and continue to be positive forces of change in your environment and your communities. Now it's more important than ever. We have to stand together. I love you guys. I will see you on Sunday Up to black holes. Peace.